スタジオ3万
Tomb Raider, it's the same, isn't it? It feels really normal, and then suddenly dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of the Nerd OD podcast with your host Dan
and your boy Reg.
There we are. How's things? I was trying to think of something really cool and with it to say there, but it just fell apart, and I just went with how's things.
You could have been like, how's tricks, G?
Yeah, no, I don't think that's ever really been cool.
Oh, that's what I always ask when I ask people.
Okay.
I was always like, how's tricks? Mm-hmm. But that's my jam, isn't it?
It was more the G.
All right, okay.
Okay. But anyway, yeah.
Things are all right. All right. We've had a bit of a rough week, hence why apologies for non-podding.
Yeah, it's Reg's fault this time.
Last week, yes, it was. I had a very poor little one. So yeah, thankfully he's on the up and up now, which is always good. But as you can tell from the sound of my voice, he's lovingly passed it on to me. So I apologise in advance for the sound of my voice, unless you like some people and you like the deepness of my voice now.
I think some people would.
Yeah. So that's been fun, because obviously I was supposed to be coming around to your house to spend your lovely wife's birthday, but unfortunately, with the ill little one and me not being great, I ended up watching 6 seasons of Peppa Pig.
Fair enough.
And then restarted it again.
Okay.
That was my weekend.
Is it one of those where, sometimes when you put something on and you are watching it and then you keep falling asleep and you wake up and then you need to rewind it back and you need to watch it again and you fall asleep again? Because obviously I'm guessing he's on medication.
Yes, he's on antibiotics.
He's just passing out every 5 minutes, right?
It was a case of, at the minute, I don't know what's happened, but he's just got really massively back into it again. Where the stage where he's like, I'm not watching anything else. He put something else on and he's like, nah. And that's all you hear. Just nah. Okay. Nah. So what do you want on then? And he's like, I'm like okay.
I love that your son's vocabulary is nah and
pretty much, yeah. And he also says ham all the time now. It's the stage where I've literally gone and bought ham online because I can't find him anyway. The Toy Story ham. Not ham as in the meat ham. He's just really out of nowhere, just really wants ham. So we went around all the Disney shops. We've gone online. We've toiled everywhere to try and find the actual talking ham, because there used to be one where you could put money in it and it would say phrases, and you'd be like, oh, amazing. But now the only one you can find online, it says 22 Japanese phrases and 6 English. And apparently that's the official one. And I'm like,
right.
No.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I'm all right for that.
Yeah.
So we've got home Dr. Evil pork chop because that's the only ham we could find. And he was content for that for a while until he realised the hat won't come off. So it literally, that is Dr. Evil pork chop and it's not ham. So he's just like, Urgh. So he just really wants ham. So
I thought he was like, he'd been listening to Kanye and he was just going ham all the time. You not heard that song? It was on the Jay-Z and Kanye album.
Oh, right. I can't say I listened to that.
No, but I always thought going ham, it's like going hammer and tongs, but apparently it's not. It's an acronym and it's hard as a mother funster.
Oh, right, okay.
So your son's not going ham in that way.
He might be. He might be, because he then does go crazy. So it could be that.
Fair. Have you heard about the new Kanye West album?
Oh, God,
and how he's done it? The last couple, he keeps going, there's a new album out, it's going to be on this date, and it's like in 2 days. I'm like, we're going to have a listening party, people listen to it, and then 2 days roll around and it doesn't appear. And he's like, yeah, we're still working on it. And then it just gets delayed, and he just keeps announcing dates and stuff. He's going around. He's got stadium concerts, and each one he's been playing the album and stuff. But he's been coming on late because he's still working on the album, like right before the gigs, right the way up to and past the starting times of the gigs. And the other day he even tweeted and goes, "Yeah, sorry, album's been deleted. We're going to be a little while." And it's just there's a Reddit group, and and it's just constantly it's on the front page, all the fans going, right, we're 2.5 hours away from when he says he's going to release the album, and then like, you know, all the comments 2.5 hours later are like, where is it? Still not here. Okay, he's tweeted it's not coming out today. All right, we're gonna have a listening party in 2 days. Okay, right, it's gonna be then, and it just never materializes.
How bizarre!
Just finish your album and then release it. Don't. It's almost like, I mean, I work well with deadlines, but I tend to hit. You know, I had a music video to work on, so this is something we'll talk about in a sec. But I had a music video to work on, and I've had like a month to do it, and I've just been putting it off, and then I was like, right, I've got a week to do it. Plus, it's my partner's 30th birthday, so I've got a cake to bake. I've got a party to organise. I've got presents to wrap, but I've also got to do this music video and get it ready. So, like, I know, but I still get it done.
I know how it turned out, so I know it's good. But imagine if like the band was listening to this and was just like, "Oh, we give him a month," and he literally just thought, "Sod it, can't be arsed."
The guy from the band that asked us to do it, we know. So
so he's all right be flunking off and not doing anything about it.
No, right. So a while back, I did a music video, like a lyric video, just off my own back. I just had an idea and thought, let me do this for this new song for a new band that this guy put together, a guy called Liam Frost, who we talk about a lot.
Heard of him?
Well, he's very good anyway, Reg, but you should have a listen to the stuff from Fountainhead, which is his new band. And I did that, and I said to him, like, a few weeks before the album, the single came out, I was like, do you want a lyric video doing? And he's like, I've been working on something myself. I was like, all right, well, I've got an idea. And he's like, oh, we'll do it and let me know. And I sent it him, and he was like, all right, this is amazing. Yeah, can I actually use this? I'm like, yeah, great. So it became the official lyric video for this song. And then about a month ago, he messaged me saying, he fancied doing another video. And I was like, yep, absolutely. And he sent me the song, and I had to listen to it, and I started thinking of ideas. And then he said specifically, he's like, I've had something I would like for this, and he sent me a clip, a link to a video, which was basically just someone had taken clips from Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind and put it to a song by a band called Beach House. And it's got loads and loads of views. There seems to be loads of these about. And he said, like, when he wrote the song, he took inspiration from a couple of parts from a film called Synecdoche, New York, which is a film with Philip Seymour Hoffman, and it's written by I think the guy who did Eternal Sunshine is the same guy. It's Charlie Kaufman. He wrote Being John Malkovich.
Right, okay.
A bunch of strange movies. He's very well known for making weird movies. Have you ever seen Adaptation? Is the one where Nicolas Cage plays himself. Well, he plays Charlie Kaufman, and Charlie Kaufman's twin.
I've not seen it, but I know of it.
Right, fair enough. So we wrote this film, and the idea is the main gist of it is Philip Seymour Hoffman's character finds out he's dying, and so decides to put on a play. But the play is of his life, and it's not just here's a stage and here's a play. He hires this massive warehouse, builds New York in it, every day gives people the script of this is my life for today, and everyone is in this city playing out the lives of this character, and it goes on for like decades, with them all just rehearsing in inverted commas for this play that never really happens. And that thing is the tip of the iceberg. That's actually, when you end up watching the film, like the trailer shows that is what this film is about. When you watch it, that's barely a third of it. That happens throughout the film, but there's so much other weird stuff. And he said, there's bits in this film that apply to this. And he said, this lyric is from this, and this lyric is from this. So I'd like something like this. Think you could do that? I was like, yeah, I'd like to I was trying to think of something, original to do, but I don't mind doing that if you're all right with it. It's not your footage. Obviously, you're not going to get permission. He's like, these have been on YouTube for years. No one cares, and no one's going to come after Fountainheads. We're tiny. I'm like, all right, okay, fair enough. And I think because I hadn't come up with the idea and it wasn't anything particularly original in my head, I avoided it. And I was like, I will do it, but I'm not going to do it yet. And eventually, I was like, right, I've got to get it done. I downloaded the movie, and I remember watching it years and years and years ago, but not quite getting it. And then watching it again, and like recently, and going, right, this is going to be a nightmare because the narrative is all over the place. It's set over like 30 years. And there's all these relationships he gets into and all crossing over and all these bizarre things. And one of the characters, like there's a line in the song, something about the house being on fire. And in the film, this woman goes to look at a house very early on in the film, goes to look at a house that is on fire, like to buy it. And the real estate agent showing around and goes, oh, they're very motivated buyers. They want a quick sale. She's like, yeah, I just don't know whether I could live in a house that is on fire. Is this the house that I want to sort of grow old and die in? And then like this guy comes out of the basement in his underwear, like in tighty whities, and then she goes, hi, and then she's like, hello, and the real estate agent goes, oh yeah, sorry, this is my brother. He recently lost his job. He's living in the basement. Is that okay? And she's like, yeah, okay. It's just it's a very bizarre film. Charlie Kaufman's films are all like this.
That's just weird.
Yeah, it absolutely. And there's a whole subplot where his wife, who basically she's an artist, she goes to Germany for an art show that she's putting on, takes his like 8-year-old daughter, and then decides to never come back, and she becomes this huge, amazing, like world-renowned artist. And then he sort of follows her. He finds his daughter's diary and follows her life through the diary. So even though she left when she was 8, whatever she's doing in her life is appearing in the diary, and he's reading it as he goes through the movie. So he keeps up with what's happening and sends her presents and things. But he finds a newspaper article about her, and it's like she's at 14, basically, she gets a full body tattoo. And the news article is like the youngest person ever to get a full body tattoo. And it turns out these tattoos are they're all these flowers, and she becomes this famous person called the Flower Girl. She I can't remember what she dies of, but she catches something, and then she calls for him, and he goes to see her, and she's there on a deathbed, and all the flower tattoos are dying. And then she's telling her how much she hates him and how she ruined his life, even though he wasn't there since she was 8, but he ruined her life and stuff. And then she dies, and then the flowers, like petals, fall off her and stuff. It's very like artistic and weird. Yeah. But anyway, the point is, there's all these weird stories and narratives, and I'm sat watching the film going, this is even worse than I thought, purely because like I've got to try and come up with something here. The last video we did, it was a 6-minute song. So that was a pain to stretch all my footage out to 6 minutes. This is a 2 hours, 10-minute film that I had to get into a 3-minute song. So I'm like, how am I going to find a narrative to fit into 3 minutes here? So I had to sort of pick and choose which bits to follow and hope that someone who hasn't watched the film could watch the lyric video and go, all right, I kind of get what's going on here. Almost certainly not entirely, but at least you can sort of see, like, he's going to counselling with his wife, and his wife leaves him, and then there's this woman that he's sort of chatting up, and then that all goes wrong, and then he gets married to someone else. But this other woman sort of keeps popping into his life, and then in the end his second wife leaves him, and then he finally gets together with this other woman, and then she dies, although you might not be able to tell that, but they spend the night in her house that's on fire, and then she dies of smoke inhalation, and he doesn't die because he's got something wrong with his lungs, and that's what's killing him, so he's on like a respirator kind of thing. And it's bizarre. It's very, 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 very bizarre. And it was, like I say, it was a nightmare, and I was putting it off and putting it off, and eventually I did it and I finished it, and I was like, all right, finally. And I'm kind of happy with it. I am kind of proud of it, even if it is just, I guess, clips from a film. It almost looks like a song from a soundtrack, like the music video.
Yeah,
but
100%.
Yeah, which is a bit, and that's kind of why I was almost a little bit hesitant to do it, because I was like, that's not what I fancy doing. But that's fine. That shows another side of what I can try and do, I guess. So
yeah,
and he's happy. He was happy with it. So we'll see what's next. But yeah, anyway, that was my week. That and trying to sort out a 30th birthday party, which, because I live in a flat, I don't have a garden, and we wanted to have a barbecue. So we decided we find a campsite that would let everyone come and we do that there. But even though we had beautiful weather, like 2 or 3 days before the actual barbecue, the weather, as everyone in the UK knows, just turned and it's horrible. And on Saturday, it was torrential.
Yeah.
So we had people around ours, and we had a nice little party, which was good. But as is COVID time, so many things are going wrong for people. So like you had a sick son. We had a friend who had an allergic reaction to antibiotics, so they couldn't come because they just broken up in hives. And then also we've been like, really want to go on holiday. We're like, right now, do you know what? The UK's got this green list, and it's countries that are absolutely fine. And we're having a look through. We started having a look at going to Iceland, but it's very expensive. And then I started looking down the list, and lots of countries saying green list, but potentially going to amber list. And then there was a couple that were just green, and one of them was Malta. And I had a look, and it looks amazing. And we're like, yes, this is the place we want to go to. So we started planning this whole holiday, going to Malta for a week. Found flights, found an Airbnb with a lovely little kitchen and a little veranda and stuff, and it looked great. And over the course of about 3 or 4 days, put in like hours of research to find exactly where we wanted to go, where we wanted to stay, what we wanted to do. And then we sort of go to booking, like, right, let's just check everything is fine. Yep, flights are still there. Airbnb, let's check the green list thing. Yep, they're on the green list. Let's have a look and double check the restrictions. And Malta says if you are double vaccinated, you can go. You don't need anything. You don't need to have any tests. You just need to show you've had both vaccinations with the passport thing. And they're absolutely fine. No self-isolation, nothing like that. UK says, fine, go to these countries, you don't have to self-isolate. Oh, but you do have to get tested 2 days before you come home and 2 days after you arrive home. And you can't get it done for free. You have to get it done. Because this is your choice, you've got to go to one of these companies. So it would have cost us €30 each there and about 25 quid when we got back. So I don't understand. Malta and lots of other countries are like, yeah, we'll take all these people from the UK who have got one of the highest percentages of this Delta variant. And then the UK are like, oh, but you've been in that weird, that country that's completely isolated and actually very safe for 2 weeks, for a week. You better have 2 very expensive COVID tests before you come back. And it's just insane. It makes absolutely no sense. I thought the point of having a green list was that these are approved countries and there's no problem. Yet the green and the amber list are no different. So, we spent all this time looking for a holiday, and now suddenly, oh, okay, we can't do this holiday. So we think we're going to do the Merlin tour. We're going to go to Thorpe and Legoland and Chessington and stuff because, it's fine. We've got passes to use. We have all these holidays that we want to do, and we've sort of got semi-planned out in our heads. One of which, so here is our first segue of the show. So I sent a message to Reg the other day saying, think you can get $4,500 saved in the next couple of years. Because finally, the Walt Disney World Galactic Starcruiser has finally had its pricing announced. So for people who don't know, at Walt Disney World in Florida is Galaxy's Edge, which is the Star Wars section of the theme park of the Hollywood Studios. And for years they've been hyping up this hotel experience they're doing, where it is basically like you're staying on this Starcruiser. So you arrive, they put you on a shuttle, and then the shuttle flies there. There'll be like this little ride to fly you to the Starcruiser, and then for all intents and purposes, you are living Star Wars for 2 days. You have lightsaber like lessons, force lessons, also you get to tour the bridge, meet the captain, all this stuff. Your cabins there's no windows in the place. It's all computer screens, so it looks like you are literally on this Starcruiser. And then so you have your afternoon, and then you have your first night, and then the next day you then get onto this shuttle again, which is a bus basically on the outside, but this shuttle on the inside, which will have TV screens for the windows, and they fly you to Galaxy's Edge, and then you spend the day at Galaxy's Edge. You get to do the Millennium Falcon ride, you get to do the Rise of the Resistance ride.
Are you actually guaranteed? I don't think you're guaranteed to do
the ride.
The rides. That's the thing that gets me, right? So
on the rides, you don't.
So you're spending bank in order to do this. Like, we'll go into that in a minute.
Yeah.
But you're literally spending bank to go and do this, right? And then you get to go on an excursion to Galaxy's Edge for the day, so you get to go down to Batuu.
Yeah.
Awesome, right? With that money, you would have thought, because you've also got to pay for your theme park ticket on top of this as well.
Well, so you don't for that day. You get 1 day's entrance to Hollywood Studios.
Right. Okay. So, with you not being able to be at Hollywood Studios in time, on Planet Batuu in time for Rope Drop when it first opens, you're not going to be able to get the fast pass reservation in order to get into the virtual queue, the boarding pass.
You don't need it. No, you get walk-ons for all the Star Wars rides.
Do you? Because I've been having a look into it and I couldn't see that.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's I read that in 2 places, and they were specific about that you do get to, because some people were saying, are you just restricted to Galaxy's Edge, or can you venture out and go around the rest of Hollywood Studios? And they're like, no, you get a 1 day ticket for Hollywood Studios, and you also get guaranteed ride on both of the Star Wars rides.
Right, okay. As long as it's guaranteed.
Disney Hollywood Studios. Sample itinerary suggests reserve ride times for both Rise of Resistance and Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run. So, I think the video or one of the press releases has like an example itinerary, which says like, you have your dinner at this time, your breakfast then, and you get this and that, and this is when you do your lightsaber fights and stuff. So, you definitely, it would be ridiculous to not. That's what
I was thinking, but then it's also going to be a nightmare for the other guests at Hollywood Studios that aren't paying ridiculous money to stay at Starcruiser to get.
It's limited. So where did I read the numbers? Let me find it. The numbers of how many people are going to be allowed in every day. I think it's like a 200 capacity hotel. 180 rooms. Okay, so that is potentially sort of 400 people, I'd say, mixing between 2 people rooms and 4 people rooms probably.
Yeah.
So, you've only got 400 people that they need to get through the rides on that day. And there'll be two nights. So actually the people going to the park that are from Galaxy's Edge is only every other day as well. Because you'll have the people, you arrive in the afternoon, stay the night, and then the next day you're in the park, and then you stay the night, and in the morning you leave. And then later on that day, the next group of people will come in, and the next day they go to the park. So, I don't think it's that bad for, 400 people or whatever having to go.
Yeah, no, considering how many people get into the likes of Hollywood Studios on a daily basis, that's nothing really. It's that's about like 8 rides, if that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's something like Smuggler's Run, not necessarily. What is it? It's 6 or 8 people or something per. So it's still quite a few rides, but no, I don't think that's any less than. I don't think I would take a lot of fast passes away from people.
No, it's the boarding pass at the minute. Rise Resistance boarding pass is a bit of a joke anyway, but
Yeah.
as soon as you start adding that in, it'll be a bit of a nightmare. But thankfully, you don't have to go up against them, which is good.
No. And you do get food in the theme park as well. So you get,
Nice.
from the kiosks and whatever, you can get your Star Wars themed stuff. You don't, from what I can tell, get to do the droid or the lightsaber experience,
Which is weird.
which is another whatever, few $100 per person to do.
But I think that's
And
probably
at the end
the
of the
reason
day,
why you don't get to do it.
Yeah, well, make it more expensive. So it's not. So we're talking basically for a couple, it's $4,800 for this 2-night, 3-day kind of experience, and $6,000 for a family of 4.
In
the max of 2 adults.
Yeah, in the basic room.
Yeah, true.
That's in the standard cabin.
But I don't. But at the same time, I don't think you get anything more in the expensive cabins other than a bigger room, like your standard, where the room's nicer, right?
Oh, Dan. So this is where me and Mike were laughing our heads off, because Mike is a massive Star Wars horse to the stage where he was saying to his missus, he was like, because obviously they don't have kids and stuff like that, and he's like, with us not really doing anything or going anywhere, like, I really want to do this. And she was like, no. And he was like, I'm literally, every time I get commission, it's just going to go to one side. And if we can afford it, when we can do it, we'll do it. And then we were chatting about rooms, and he was like, I'm torn between a standard cabin, just because, you're going to be in there massively for like the day. But the next day you're going to be in the park. So, and he was like, or do I go for the Galaxy class one, which has one extra window?
Okay, so you were being sarcastic, Reg.
Oh yeah, massively. It's literally, it's got one extra window and an extra pull, like the extra pull. But when you look through the amenities and stuff, everything is identical.
Adds an integrated seating area and second window to space. Yeah. Okay.
And if
a grand captain suite.
Yeah. So if you go through the 3 different ones, so you've got the bog standard one, which has every now and again you'll have a special Star Wars surprise out the window. Mm-hmm. But that's apparently it's very rare where you'll be like, oh, look, once a night or something, you'll get a Star Wars surprise out the window. Then you get for the Galaxy class suite, where you'll have sporadic Star Wars surprises out the window. And then you go for the Grand Captain suite, where you get regular Star Wars surprise extra windows out the windows. And that's the thing where people are like, oh, you know what, I need to do more because I want to know what these extra Star Wars surprises are. I'm like, really? Are you just going to be spending your time in the cabin staring out of that window? Are you not going to be doing the experiences throughout the bar, throughout the actual hotel and doing everything else? Like, why is it so much fucking more expensive to genuinely have an extra window, 3 windows?
No, I would literally, when I get there, I would set a GoPro up, filming the window with a massive memory card, press record, and go, right, okay, I'm going to go off now and see the rest of the ship or whatever. And then you're not going to miss anything. It's fine. You just watch it back and find all the good bits, and then stick it on YouTube, make hundreds of dollars in ad revenue, and suddenly you've paid for a very small part of your trip. You've paid for the lightsaber building experience or the droid building experience. There you go.
There you go. But I love the fact that they're classing one of the cabin amenities as a phone with voicemail messaging. I'm like,
fair enough. I mean, they're just being thorough. They're being very detailed, right?
It's just like, welcome to the far reaches of space, where all these exciting things you can do. We've got an actual landline telephone with a voicemail service.
Yeah.
But right.
That's it.
At least try and make it a little bit fancier with a hologram that pops up of R2D2 or something that just reads out the message.
Oh, exactly.
Something like that would be amazing.
I mean, they've made the real lightsabers, haven't they?
Yeah.
I can't remember whether we talked about it on the pod, but I think we did.
We did, because
how they've developed these lightsabers that basically almost work like tape measures. That sounds really straightforward, like it's a tape, but it's like multiple tape measure sort of systems that then make the lightsaber extend out, and it's got a cap on the end, and it'll obviously be lit and stuff. It's on YouTube. Go and have a look. Search for Disney real lightsaber, and you'll find a video, and it just looks really impressive. So that's part of your lightsaber training. And there's also an upcharge for if you want to have dinner with the captain, which is the same. Like if you go on a cruise ship, you can go and dine at the captain's table. You know, if you're like the super premium lounge or whatever. So same here, you can actually. They'll obviously have an actor who's the captain, and I do hope that I don't know what the race of aliens are called, but you know, the fish people, you know, they're it's a trap. Those guys.
Yeah.
Hope it's one of them, and I hope you get to sit there and have dinner with him. That would be great.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but anywho, the thing we were talking about, like, I totally understand. Nearly $5,000 is insane, but I'm the sort of person that I hate paying for things in advance. Like if I have a gig or something or that I want to book, it's just I hate putting money down and not having something there and then. But at the same time, it's really like when we booked to go to Florida, and we had to save like whatever it was, £1,000 or something, and we basically just put 50 quid aside for 20 months or whatever, didn't we? Until we had the money, and then we booked everything. When it's something like that, I then don't mind. I don't notice that money. I don't mind that I've gone, right, here's £1,000 in one go. Like I'm saving for a wedding, and we've been putting £100 aside for the last like sort of 18 months, 2 years, and we've got more than enough that would pay for a wedding and a honeymoon now. So I know when that comes down to it, well, I'm usually an absolute skinflint, and I'm like, oh, that's quite expensive. I don't want to do that. How about that? Oh yeah, let's not do that. I'm just going to be like, yep, great. Okay, got the money. Yeah, there's the money. Yep, there's the money. So if I did the same for this, if I put aside 50 quid a month within, I think I worked it out, there was about 3 and a bit years, I would have enough money for my half of that. Okay, now that is not including going to actually just flying to Florida and having the rest of the 2 weeks of holiday.
Well, we've thought about this, haven't we?
Well, yeah.
And if you still listen, Scott, surprise!
Yeah, we know someone who lives in Florida, so we're going to sleep on his basement floor. So, yeah, we'll see. But the point is that it's absolutely obscene money. But I feel like I would, if I knew that I was planning to go to Florida in 3 or 4 years, I think I would start putting that money away just so I could do that, because it would just be such an amazing experience. And I think I can live without that 50 quid. I don't think I would notice 50 quid a month disappearing, and then suddenly it's done and paid for. So there will be 2 types of people. There'll be those people who've just gone, right, let's just save. And there'll be the people who $5,000 is nothing for them, and they just go, yeah, we're going to go and do it. So I have no doubt that it's going to be consistently sold out or close to sold out.
Oh yeah, it's mad, because when you first look at it, like, that is a lot of cash. Yeah, that you got to fork out. But then you think, if you're going to do Florida properly, like if you're going to go to the likes of Disney and do, like, when you're there, you're also going to do Universal, because you got to do Universal for a day or two as well. You're spending a lot of money anyway. Yeah, I mean, so you might as well
pounds for park tickets straight away by then.
Yeah, so you might as well just be like, you know what, it's worth saving up that extra money just so you don't have to think, you know what, can I really afford to do this today? Like when we went last time around, admittedly it was our honeymoon, so we're like, you know what, like,
yeah, you were just all
spared, so to speak. But it was also, you're there. We wanted to experience everything when we were there, instead of going, we're here. Yeah. Tell you what, let's take a picnic for like Walt Disney today.
Yes, cheaper. That's exactly it. Do that. I couldn't just go there with my normal money. Even on my honeymoon, I would feel, just every time we would go to do something really posh and expensive, I would feel it. Yeah, really? Knowing that I've got that money there, that I've forgotten this money comes out of my account every month. So I know I've got it, and I'm like, yep, fine, yeah, let's buy it, let's do that, let's buy this, let's get this, let's go and do that. So that's I'm sure there's lots of people out there that are like that are like, $5,000 can't do, but just that little bit of saving every month might not be for another 2 or 3 years, but at the end of the day, I'm still going to be a Star Wars fan in 2 or 3 years' time, and I'm still going to want to do this. There's not going to be anything, I think, that would replace this as being a must-do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. So Universal have got their what's it called? Fantastic Worlds or something like that. The next
the Epic
Universe. That's it. Is the next theme park they're building, and the Florida theme parks, the Universal ones. Both Universal parks have Harry Potter.
Harry Potter
lands. One's got Hogsmeade and Hogwarts, and the other has got Diagon Alley and Gringotts. So the odds are that there's going to be another Harry Potter section in this third park, which would make perfect sense because it is just that absolutely drags people to those parks. So it wouldn't surprise me if they then followed suit with this and built a Hogwarts sort of hotel type experience, because especially building something from scratch like that would make far too sense. If they're not thinking about it at this point, they're stupid. Let's face it.
No, I was gonna say it would be ridiculous for them not to. The minute that Disney were like, hey, we're doing a Star Wars one, they're like, shit, what can we do?
Yeah.
And obviously they know what they've got, and they know how easy it is to build the likes of like the Hogwarts or Hogsmeade Castle, whatever it is, Hogwarts Castle, isn't it? They've done it like 3 or 4 times now around the world, haven't they? They know how to do it, so they could literally build a huge Hogwarts and be like, right, okay, you now live in the school for the night or 2 nights. You can do a couple of like classes about alchemy and spell casting.
Exactly.
Go buy your wand and Ollivanders, like they do the little excursion down to Hogsmeade or Diagon Alley, all that sort of stuff. That would be silly if they haven't thought, okay, let's do this. Exactly.
It is these limited experiences. I remember years ago they were talking about adding a fifth theme park to Walt Disney World, and the rumors were that it was going to be this experience place. It would be very expensive, and it would generally be, there would be a really limited number of people every day, but it wasn't just going to be, here's a theme park, go and do what you want. It was going to be this ridiculously immersive experience. So it almost feels like this has started life as that, and then merged into like, well, we got Star Wars now. let's do Star Wars.
Yeah.
So,
100%.
But they're the 2 franchises. I don't think there's any other franchises that have that sort of
pulling power. Yeah.
Great. Marvel is massive, but I don't think it has the same pull as Star Wars and Harry Potter seem to. Could be wrong. It's still like, oh, that's really cool, I want to go there, but not to the point where people would be dropping $5,000 to stay in a Marvel hotel and train like a superhero. I don't know.
No, I mean, like the Avengers Campus is doing all right, but I don't think that's doing as great as what they sort of wanted it to do.
No.
It's just, it hasn't got the legacy yet, so to speak, that Star Wars has. I know obviously Marvel's been around a lot longer, but it's only recently got that boom, whereas Star Wars has had that boom for 40 years now. So it's I mean, Marvel's been strong and it always will be strong, but you'll never have a phenomenal such as Star Wars again. Like nothing else is, apart from obviously Harry Potter for Universal, there's been nothing that you'll be able to top Star Wars with. Like us growing up with Star Wars all the way through, like our kids that grow up will literally be Harry Potter coming through, and that's what I've got to get to terms with. I've got to come to terms with at some point.
I'm curious whether it will, because it seems to have, it's almost like it's past. I don't see new kids reading and watching the films and stuff. It seems like there's that I mean, it'll be that generation growing up and still loving Harry Potter. But
you then have kids who force it on their kids.
Maybe, yeah.
That's the thing, because going through now, obviously, I know there's been a load of abuse for J.K. Rowling and all that sort of stuff. But
I think people are okay separating that. Then.
Yeah, I was going to say that seems to have passed now, and it seems to have got very popular again. And the films are always on telly, so even if you don't see them, going out and purchasing it or streaming it, that every single weekend, one of them is on either ITV or ITV2 or 3 or 4.
Mhm.
It's everywhere. And it's like, we still have Sky Cinema dedicated to Sky Cinema Harry Potter that's on. So there's always the possibility to watch it, especially over here in the UK. I know over in America it might be slightly different.
Yeah.
But over here, you can't go a day without it still being somewhere.
But if you don't have the I remember when each book came out, like pretty much it was. I think I remember hearing about it from probably like the 4th book or something like that, and you'd have these midnight openings and massive queues for people buying the books and stuff, and they haven't got anything like that anymore. I mean, what Harry Potter stuff is keeping that franchise alive at this point? The Fantastic Beasts, which just keeps getting delayed and has problematic stars in it, and I don't think ever quite reaches the heights of the original films.
No,
theme parks. It is like you say, the adults still.
It's the theme parks and the video games. So that new Hogwarts experience.
Yeah.
Or Hogwarts,
I still don't see the new generations of kids particularly getting into. I'm not saying they won't, but I'm not seeing anything that's keeping it alive.
I think it's just because there's nothing new that's
that's my problem.
Coming out, which is why you're not seeing it. But their legacy, is there when you go to bookshops. It's still always there.
Absolutely.
Like Waterstones or Doug Smith or whatnot. There's still the posters up for it. It still is everywhere. It might not be sung and danced about anymore, but it felt to us anyway. But it still is. With I know our nieces and our nieces read the books, and they've I think they were 7 when they first started reading the books, and they're 11, 12, 13 now. Yeah. So
I feel like there needs to be something to keep it, nudge it along though, and it doesn't seem to be anything on the horizon. I'm expecting a TV show at some point, especially with Warner Brothers being a big part of HBO Max.
Yeah, I think the only way they could do it, I know they're turning the Cursed Child into a film, aren't they? So you're going to have that Broadway play that's being turned into a film. So that'll generate a mass market around it. But you're right. The only way they could do it, because I've not seen a Harry Potter film, so I'm going to be completely probably bang out of line what I'm saying here. But haven't they finished the story arc with Harry Potter now?
Oh, and the films are done.
Yeah, and the issue is it's called Harry Potter. So with the likes of Star Wars, you've gone, right, we've had the Skywalker saga now, we can move on to this. We've got the Mandalorian, we've got all this, and you're like, oh yeah, it's fine. No, it might not be our Star Wars, but it's our kids' Star Wars now that we're getting involved in and watching it.
It's not called Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas with Harry Potter now, you're like, oh yeah, here's a Hogsmeade experience or Hogwarts experience, but we're following Rudolph or whatever his name is, Rupert.
Yeah.
Following him, because everyone like, well, no, because I want Harry Potter, that's what I got invested in, that's what I got involved in. But a TV show, they could easily do something based around that school where they go through it all, and if they put it on streaming services,
there's plenty in the law, absolutely
immense that they'd be able to put behind it. Like, you've seen the amount of money they're putting behind, like, the Lord of the Rings series and stuff.
Yeah,
right, they'll easily be able to smash that out.
Exactly.
And it could be decent. It could be the one thing that if they ever made it, where Aldous starts getting old enough, I'm like, oh, go on, we'll watch this. Okay, that's actually quite good. Let's finally get around to doing it.
I think in isolation, though, if you watch the films, you wouldn't. I don't think anyone would see any of the first few films and be like, "Oh, these are the greatest things I've ever seen." It's the hype that I think made them so popular, and then people just got caught into it. So this is what I mean. This is the problem, I think, of trying to pull new people in.
Yeah. And I think my issue is that I only ever want to watch it because I just want to get close to being back at Orlando.
Right, fair enough.
Universal is the only thing to watch that, to be like, oh, I remember walking down there.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah, I remember that.
And and the theme parks are amazing just because of the visual, like what they built there in terms of the world building, not just in the theme, but in the movies, over the books. Like, the actual visuals of it just work so well, and they're so well done and unique that it lends itself to a theme park so well. So yeah, but I don't know. I feel like that's probably the only other thing that is even remotely comparable. I still think that I'm surprised no one's done a graphic novel of it. Like
Yeah.
it wouldn't be obviously Marvel or anything like that, but a DC or anything like that just doing a Harry Potter graphic novel, because that's the only other format that I feel like they could do that they haven't.
So while we're on the subject of graphic novels,
okay,
in a nice little mini segue.
Yeah, let's move off this subject.
I wasn't going to do it, but so I want to segue into Why the Last Man. Which
Okay, yes.
Randomly before I messaged you, like, Dan, is this actually happening now?
I can't believe that I didn't know that it was coming out in a month.
Well, the thing that surprised me, I was like, I can't believe fucking Dad hasn't told me about this yet.
Yeah. Well, I knew it was.
You didn't know.
I knew that it was happening. I knew that it was far closer to happening, and they were supposed to be on the verge of filming it or actually filming it, because it was going to be basically Why the Last Man is. It's a graphic novel written by Brian K. Vaughan, who's currently doing Saga. He's doing Paper Girls, which is going to be a Netflix series soon. He wrote like one of the more famous X-Men runs and all sorts of stuff. Created Runaways as well. He's pretty much he's by far, apart from Brian Lee O'Malley, because Scott Pilgrim is just amazing. He's probably my favorite comic book writer. I don't think there's anyone else that has had so many series that I've read from start to finish and thought were amazing. And he's great. But he also he is involved in movies and TV and stuff like that. He wrote, I can't remember whether he came up with it, but do you remember Under the Dome?
Yeah.
Which was amazing for the first series. And then after that, it was terrible. Yeah, the first series was genuinely really good. After that, it was awful.
See, I didn't think any of them. I mean, me and Ash watched it. Ash loved it, so I watched it. But I can't say I was a fan.
No. And he also, what was he involved in? Oh yeah, well, Lost. He did some writing on Lost as well. But anyway, Why the Last Man was sort of one of his breakout series, and it's all the men in the world get some weird disease and die, so it's just women left. But it turns out there is one man left. This guy called Yorick. So why the last man? And he also finds a monkey who is also I think it's been so long, but I think he's the last living male monkey as well. Called Ampersand, and basically it's their adventure, and then it's them all lots of very violent, very sort of dark stuff happening throughout the whole comic series. And it wasn't, nowadays, if there's something where it's like, it's all about, the world's run by women, you immediately go to, this is some feminist sort of story.
Yeah.
It was far, like a long time before the world was anything like it is now that this was written. It was like in the 90s, I think, early 2000s maybe. So it wasn't political commentary about women running the world. But then the trailer, it started off like, you sent. I heard this was happening, but I didn't know that it actually filmed it. And then you sent me this trailer that got released 3 days ago that I had no idea about. And it does look very much like at the beginning, it's like, what if the world was run by women? All the men are dead. Yes, women running everything. But then it goes into the whole like, oh, but there's the last guy left, and then it focuses on that. But the comments aren't seeing that. The comments are just like, oh, this is some feminist rubbish, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's ludicrous.
To the point where I feel I'm really kind of worried that's what's going to happen with the film. It's just going to get painted with this brush of being this whole feminist thing. But if you're listening to this and you've seen the trailer and you weren't fussed, please know that if it follows the comics, that's just the basis of the story. There's so much more to it. It is not trying to make any grand political points. It's just like, genuinely, what would happen? There are still plenty of things that are very male dominated, whether they should be or not. That's not what anyone's saying. But facts are that in a lot of cases, there are more men doing certain jobs than women. So what happens in that situation? And that's how society sort of starts to break down, and then they have to rebuild the pieces.
Yeah, because that's it. 'Cause I was showing as soon as I seen it, I sent it to you, and obviously I chat to the lad in work a lot as well about like all this sort of stuff because he's like his geeky sides and whatnot. And I was like, holy shit, they're actually doing it. Like last time I heard is that they never got off the ground and they was going to do a film and then there's going to be this series and there's going to be this. And he was like, I've never even heard of it.
Frank Darabont when he was doing, in fact, after he left The Walking Dead, or kicked off or whatever. I think that was the next thing he was working on. But anywho, carry on.
Yeah. And I was going to say, so I was like, it's all about this. And he was like, right, okay. And I was like, I've done a really bad job of describing it, so I apologize. However, I will say that it's one of the, if not the best graphic novel series that I've read. I was like, it is phenomenal. Like you're doing yourself an injustice if you do not seek it out.
Yeah.
And like, it is an incredible series, and it's really funny, and it is dark, and it's twisted, but it's also got some very good points in it. And like trying to basically just say, I know I've messed up here, and trying to describe it. And he was like, well, I wasn't really that bothered about it, but if you reckon it's like the best one you've read, and me and you have similar tastes, then I'll probably give it a shot. And I was like, just literally just seek it out, even if you have to do it online. Just have a read of it and decide if you're going to watch the show or not. But just please give it a read.
It's coming in on the 13th of September, and it's at least what they've announced is obviously the US air date. That is, it's going to be on FX on Hulu, so it's going to be streaming only on Hulu. But and stuff that goes on Hulu, 'cause Hulu is owned by Disney, or at least through Fox or whatever, and FX is a Fox channel. So it looks very likely that it'll go on to Star on Disney Plus over here. Although I've not heard anything about it yet, but there's a very good chance it will do. I can't see why it wouldn't. They want more original programming for that, don't they? So that would be perfect. So yeah, I can't wait.
While we're talking about original programming for Disney Plus, have you seen the first few little pictures of the Muppets take on Haunted Mansion that's coming to Disney Plus?
No, and I had no idea that was happening.
What? Yes, it's amazing. So first and foremost, dig out the trailer for when they announced that they were taking on the Haunted Mansion.
Okay,
it's amazing.
Is it a movie or a series?
It's going to be a one-off to celebrate the anniversary of the Haunted Mansion, which actually happened today. Today is the anniversary of it opening up at Disneyland Park. Which, if you haven't watched Behind the Attraction yet on Disney Plus, they do one all about the Haunted Mansion, and it's amazing, and you learn so much stuff about it. It's crazy. But the Muppets take on Haunted Mansion is just awesome. It looks like they've only shown you like 2 or 3 little picture stills from it, but I can't wait. Like, I love the Muppets and I love the Haunted Mansion. Combine it together, it's going to be amazing.
That's great. Yeah, there's not been enough new Muppet stuff. Like, we watched rewatched the, I think it was just called The Muppets, the last TV series they did, which was like good. Where Miss Piggy had the talk show, and it was it's amazing, absolutely amazing. And then we watched the 2 more recent Muppet movies, and it's just
they're still great.
Yeah, the writing on any of the more recent Muppet stuff is just brilliant. It's exactly my sort of humor. It's really good, really fun, really funny. So I'm glad they're doing more stuff, and that sounds good. That sounds like if this does well, that'll be the first in a series.
Yeah, it has to. They have to start doing stuff like this because there's so many rides and stuff and attractions they can do from Disney where they can put the Muppets in it, especially because the Muppets have a own little part, don't they, in Hollywood Studios, which is just great.
Yeah, it's fun. So did you see the show?
Yes.
Muppet Vision 4D or whatever it's called.
Muppet Vision 3D, yes, so good, loved it. And this is just going to be great, and I can't wait for this. And the other thing I want to talk about while we're talking about Disney rides is how good the Jungle Cruise film was.
yeah, okay.
Like, I was excited to see it anyway, just because, well, it's a nice little way to get a fix.
Yeah.
Of Disney, and especially because the puns in the Jungle Cruise are completely my style of punnery. Like the really bad dad jokes are just phenomenal. To the stage where the downside to it is anything about the ride is done within the first 10 minutes of the film. It's basically like, right, okay, that's done, that's over. You've had literally just the slew of every single skipper joke that he does in the actual ride and stuff within the first 10 minutes, and then just like, right, let's just have a really fun, like, I would say family, because everyone keeps on calling it a family film, but I genuinely don't think it is a family film, because there's a lot.
Well, it's 12A, isn't it? I think
there's a lot of death in it. Everyone's like, oh yeah, it's like the Goonies and stuff. But if you sit down kids of today in front of the Goonies and stuff, they're like, whoa, like 80s kids films are a lot darker than like our kids films. Like, well, sorry, this generation kids films, they really are completely dark compared to them. So this kind of film, it's got a lot of fighting in it, a lot of action in it, a few deaths, stabbed through the hearts and stuff. It is quite dark in that aspect, but it's such a good film. But it made me really want to go through the Uncharted series.
Fair enough. It felt to me like a cross between Pirates of the Caribbean and The Mummy.
Yeah, which is, I put up a post on one of the geeky dad page on Facebook going, has anyone seen this yet? And does anybody really want to play the Uncharted series, or is it just me? And like the amount of people like, actually, it's The Mummy and Pirates of the Caribbean if you want to get about it. And I'm like, but it's all about like their relationship, like the puzzles that they do towards the end of it, the whole scenario. He's got his little Sully, which is, a fucking brother and stuff, like that sort of stuff. It screamed out that evil villain who was so stereotypically camp. It was glorious. Yeah. Like it was a really damn good film. Like I knew I was going to enjoy it and I wanted to enjoy it, but when it actually came, I completely embraced it and loved it.
Fair enough. I mean, so it is pretty derivative of quite a few other things, right? It's not nothing drastically original. Like literally, we had someone around the other night and we were talking to them about it, and they were asking if it was any good, and I said, yeah, it looks very similar to The Mummy, because you've literally got the tour guide who was Brendan Fraser or The Rock, and then you've got the main woman who you think is all sort of demure and whatever, but no, she can kick ass and she knows everything. And then you've got her brother who's a bit of an idiot, like this British bumbling guy. So character wise, it was pretty spot on. You know what I mean?
See, I think that's because I only watched the first 5 minutes of the first Mummy, and I was like,
really?
yeah, it's not for me.
Enough. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, though, because we haven't had a Mummy film for years. So I've got no problem with this being a similar sort of setup. It works.
Oh, yeah, no, I wasn't. I was just saying that I don't have that interpretation to come off. I've only got the ride, basically, in Universal to be like, oh, right.
Okay, that makes sense.
I know that. And about the goddamn coffee, that's literally the only thing I've got from it.
Yeah, fair enough.
So, I can't really compare that. I did really enjoy the new Mummy film, but that's a side story altogether.
Wait, the new Mummy film?
The one with Tom Cruise.
Oh, right, yeah, that's right. I forgot about that one. Yeah, that was good. I was hoping you didn't in The Emperor's Tomb, the third Mummy film, that doesn't exist. It was so bad.
Yeah. Oh.
Anyway, yeah. But see, I mean, I really enjoyed it. I remember watching the first trailer like 2 years ago or whatever when it was gonna come out, and it was a really bad trailer. It made it look really cheesy and bad. And I'm certain over the year that followed, I'm pretty sure they did reshoots, and it's almost like how every Pixar film comes out, and you can tell that they've just worked on it and worked on it and worked on it and worked on it until they know they've got like just the perfect script, no plot holes, just works. And it was almost like that because they had all this extra time that they just got it to a film that worked really well. I thought it was a bit in the first sort of 20 minutes felt really goofy, and I was like, I don't know whether this is this might grate on me how sort of stupid and cheesy it is in places, like Thingy's character.
Jack Whitehall.
What? Sorry,
Jack Whitehall.
No. The I mean, first of all, the villain, the German,
yeah.
who's a Nazi but not really a Nazi, who's one of the bad guys throughout it, was very, very over the top. And the thing is, that actor is so good as a bad guy. Like the couple of things I remember seeing him in, and he's been bad guys, like the episode of Black Mirror. I don't know whether can't remember whether you've watched a lot of Black Mirror, but there's one that's sort of based on Star Trek in a way, and he's the bad guy in that, and he's brilliant as it. But with this, he was very like, yes, I am German and I am a bad guy. There was that sort of stuff. And then you've got I can't remember the actor's name, but basically the guy who runs the boating trips. The Rock owes the money, and he's this really over the top French accent, sort of like, again, just like the German guy, but he's barely in it really. He's in it for about 5-10 minutes at the beginning, and then comes back at the end. And again, I can't remember the actor's name, but he's quite a well-known actor. And he's in a lot of stuff.
I was like, I know him from.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I'm gonna have to Google it. And as soon as I say it, it'll just be, oh yeah, that guy. Cast, where is he? Paul Giamatti.
Yes.
Yeah. He was almost wasting it, but he's very, 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 very over the top. Like, and it is just like, say, a little bit goofy. And then, but as it goes on, once they leave the village and they get they go off, it starts to really come together. And yeah, I did enjoy it quite a lot. And I mean, end of the day, yeah, there's similarities with The Mummy and with Pirates of the Caribbean, but Indiana Jones and Uncharted and stuff. And none of this is a bad thing, because these films work. It's just this stupid, over the top, supernatural, treasure hunt type thing.
Yeah, it's been a long while since we had a fun romp, like adventure romp like this, where it's not too serious.
It was a bit weird. And this is a little minor spoiler for people who haven't watched it, but it's in the first sort of half an hour, 45 minutes, maybe a bit longer, because it's quite long, to be fair. It's over 2 hours. And I thought that was the only downside of it, really, that it was a little bit too long. But saying that, I can't think of a film with so many action scenes, just like one after the other. Very few, like, here's a gap where they're just sailing down a river. They'd be like sailing down a river. Oh no, this happens. And then sailing down a river. Oh, this has happened. Constant. So that was great. They like I said, really well done. But yeah, it's quite grounded in reality. And then suddenly, the German guy finds these conquistadors from like hundreds of years ago that are on this expedition to find the MacGuffin that they're trying to find that sets the whole movie up. And they're not allowed. They're not allowed to be. They were cursed by the river, and they're never allowed to be away from eyesight of the river. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was it. Right?
Yeah. Otherwise, it pulls them back.
Yeah. But that happened, and then they get turned to stone. So this German guy comes up to him and goes like, I need your help, and here is some of the river in a little vial. I'm going to make you wet, and then suddenly you'll come to life. And then it's like the bad guys in Pirates of the Caribbean 2, who were like the half dead. In fact, even the first one, any of them, who were like these undead things. And one of them has turned into a swarm of bees for some reason. Is dripping honey out of his head. He's got like a beehive on his head. Another one was the one that was on fire or something. I can't remember, but it suddenly brings in these supernatural bad guys that are after them.
Yeah.
And it just seemed like really out of left field.
That's what gave me the Uncharted vibes, to be fair.
Right.
Because
well, it's the same.
The first one,
like with Tomb Raider, it's the same, isn't it? It feels really normal, and then suddenly dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like that. But it seemed very sudden. And there didn't seem to be any build up to it to hint that this
it just randomly come out of nowhere,
has all these weird things. But it worked for the rest of the film. It's it's like that, and that's where it got a bit Pirates of the Caribbean for me, and in a good way. Because again, some of those films, I'd say at least one, maybe four, quite like four. A really good film. One especially is a great film. I know you hate it. You've got the try wearing a corset line and that kills it for you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But anywho, yeah, I can't remember my point, but the point is, yeah, fun movie, bit long, worth going to see though. I think probably one of the better films that's out at the cinema at the moment.
And I watched a recent film, Dan. I watched something that's literally out in the pictures and stuff to watch.
Yeah, but you watched it on Premier Access.
I did, and but I'm very, very happy because it's rare that I can come onto this show and be like, "Oh, Dan, I've watched a new film."
Exactly, it's normally me. Yeah, I mean, I went to see Suicide Squad, and I won't talk in detail about it, but infinitely better than the first one, unsurprisingly.
I can't wait to see John Cena and Will Smith go toe to toe with each other. I think it's going to be great.
Okay. It's good. The good thing is they never reference Will Smith at all in the entire film.
Did they not? That's a shame.
No, and in fact, so it is like it's pretty much an entire new team apart from Harley Quinn. But the really nice thing is she's actually not the main thing in it. Idris Elba's character is by far the main character.
Yeah, I was going to say I heard that.
Yeah, and great because he is really good. He plays the part he's given brilliantly. Who else? Yeah, John Cena. The weird thing is, so John Cena's character is gonna have a TV show.
Yes.
And when you watch it, you'll probably it's almost hard to see how people are gonna want to watch it because he's mental, as the character's supposed to be. He's like, I mean, they're all murderers, let's face it.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. But he is very much like, in the trailer, I think he says something like, I believe in freedom and I don't care how many people I have to kill to get it.
Yeah.
So it's people identify with Harley Quinn as this anti-hero, but he's just almost a step too far, and it's hard to. But I don't know. We'll see. He's very good. He is really good. He plays naive and stupid really well, almost to the same extent that Batista did as Drax. He's just so perfect.
Okay. Is he that good?
Yeah, he's very good in that part. But yeah, you've got the new squad or whatever, and the only thing I thought, so Harley Quinn isn't part of the squad for most of it. She's off on her own little story that sort of runs parallel and crosses over and then joins up at the end. But there's one character who has absolutely no point at all apart from this one small payoff at the end, which was a bit stupid.
Ratcatcher.
Yeah, Ratcatcher 2. Because there's a moment when the team storm this sort of village. They think it's the bad guys, and there's this all these huts and whatever, and it's like they're in a jungle, and they go around killing everyone, and John Cena's shooting everyone. So's Idris Elba. You've got the polka dot guy. I forget exactly what he's called.
Polka dot.
Polka dot. He's like blowing people up and stuff with his polka dots, firing polka dots at people. Who else is on the team? Oh, King Shark is just eating people. And then you've got Ratcatcher, who can control rats. And I don't think she does anything in that entire scene, other than maybe her rat acts as a lookout and is like, oh, look, there's someone there. And they're like, oh, someone's coming. And they shoot them. It's that sort of thing. She barely had, she's got no superpowers other than this little wand that helps her control rats. And, what good is that going to do you? Genuinely, what's the point? Especially when you've got like these people who can shoot the flea off the back of a dog, because they're that good at aiming, and you've got a giant mutant shark, and then you've got a guy that fires polka dots to blow things up. Like, she's so underpowered that there's no point in her being there.
Right, okay.
It's bizarre. It was a weird choice to bring that character in, other than I feel like maybe James Gunn going, like, because he clearly wanted to take all these like one-shot characters that were in the comics and bring them in, and he must have had some sort of interest in this, Ratcatcher 2. It's like the backstory is kind of interesting in that it's just this really weird random character who can control rats. So I get that, but in the idea of the film is why did they send her off with this team? Like, what good did they think she was going to do amongst the team? Yeah. It doesn't make any sense, and that annoyed me a little bit and sort of took me out of it a little bit, especially because you've seen in a trailer, obviously there's lots and lots of other characters as well that are in it. Because without giving it all away, but they're sort of in a separate team. So there's lots of different people, and they get, she could have been in either. There's plenty of people in that team who were way more powerful and would have been better suited to go on this mission than she was. And it all seemed to be just for this payoff at the end when they're up against the big bad and she does something which saves the day. It didn't seem great writing for that reason, but other than that, it was decent. It was, I enjoyed it probably as much as I did the Birds of Prey movie.
Right, okay, fair enough.
But it definitely didn't. It wasn't as good as either of the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right, okay.
But good.
Fair enough.
I don't know.
I did like them, so
yeah. It's a good James Gunn film, but I love the style of it, and it was probably the best DC movie they've done. But it's
not
hard. Exactly. But I get why it's sort of people are like, yep, great, he's coming back, he's going to do more movies. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Yeah. Finally, the tone right for you, So, it definitely felt as well like it was a sequel to the first one. I heard it was a reboot at first.
Yeah, I was going to say, I keep
some
on hearing.
characters shared, but it could quite easily not be. I mean, end of the day, Boomerang's in it. I can't remember the guy who isn't a superhero who was the who ran the mission in the first one.
Rick Flag. Rick Flag.
Yeah, Flag.
It would be amazing if it was Rick Flag.
Amanda Waller, she's in it. So, there's characters that listen, and obviously Harley Quinn. But other than that, it's all new people. But it makes sense because it is literally just, right, who have we got in the prison this week? All right, we've got these guys. Let's send them on the mission. It's that, So, yeah. And no Joker anywhere to be seen. Thank goodness. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anywho, yeah. We had, it was weird, before we started this pod, me and Reg were like, right, we need to talk about this. And we had all these little segues set up already. We haven't even got to the start of that little
segment, anything to do,
unfortunately. But, yeah, I don't know. Yeah. You said you didn't really want to talk about Venom 2 anyway because you don't want to see the film.
No, but I will at some point. But we can talk about that next week.
Yeah, that sounds good.
We've done like an hour and a half pod. Well, we weren't here last week, were we? So we'll make it up slightly for last time.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I don't think we've got much editing to do, so I'm quite happy with that.
Happy days.
Exactly. All right. Thank you for listening.
And thank you for having me.
We'll see you again, same time next week.
Indeed.
See you.
Toodles.
Bye.